Welcome to Subramani. I hope you did not sell all your equity in the month of March, or specifically the end of March, when the market crashed approximately 20%. And when the market crashes 20%, we say now it's in the grip of a bear market. So the question is, did you sell at that point in time, or did you have a process by which you said, well, the markets are down, but maybe it's a time to buy? So either you bought or you sold, or you did not do anything. If you did not do anything, maybe now it's not a time to do anything anyway. But if you had bought, maybe you would have sold. I bought, I sold, because I said here's good money to be made, so I took money off the table, done for that particular trade of a fall and a recovery. So I did not want to add those to my portfolio and fool myself into saying I've reduced my average cost. That was not the purpose. This was a trade, separate trade, so I have to treat it as a separate trade. So that's what I did. Now the question is, if you take behavioral finance, you would have heard all these words like optimism, fear, anxiety, despondency, and all those words. So let us look at what really happens. First, there is optimism, and then there is you buy something, like say you buy a let's say you bought a Vodafone at 7 rupees or 8 rupees, then it goes to 9 rupees, there is excitement, then it goes to 10 rupees, you feel wow, I was right, they won the case, right, that kind of a thing. Then it goes to 12 rupees, there is euphoria, and then it comes down to 11 rupees. Now you have anxiety, you're worried that something worse is going to happen. Then it comes to 10 rupees, then there is fear, saying oh my god, will I lose all the money that I have already made. Then it goes to 9 rupees because some court ruling came, something which was not in favor, the court gave them 10 years instead of 12 years. Then it goes down to 8 rupees. Now you have completely lost it. You said, my god, it has come down to my cost, or it has come down to, from here I will only lose money if it goes down even further. And that is the point when you sell out, and that is perhaps the point at which you should be buying more. Now look at Vodafone and look at the prices. At 3 rupees, 4 rupees, it was priced for disaster. The company is finished, abhi kuch nahi hoga kind of stuff. Then the price went to 6 rupees, 7 rupees. People are hoping something will happen. That was a time when they had a lot of amounts due in the market. So they paid off. When they paid off, the market, it stabilized around 8-9 rupees, and people said now it is very clear that they paid the interest and interest on interest, etc. So which means they are going to be stable and they are going to be there. Then they won the AGR case, and when they won what happened was, during the AGR case, a lot of people bought at 8 rupees, 9 rupees, and they were hoping that it will go up. It did go up. It went up to 11. That was a time when all these short-term traders who had entered at 8 and 9 exited at about 11, because they have no ability to hold. And what happened is, many people who are so-called investors who had invested earlier, believe me, they were speculating. They were all hoping that when the price goes up, I will hold on, but they couldn't hold on. So here they said, oh my god, I'm going to lose everything. So they all exited at 8 rupees, 9 rupees, 7 rupees 95 paise, 7 rupees 65 paise. It hit all those prices. And then the real investor came in and said, look, wait a minute, Vodafone is an internationally big company, Birla is not a small person, so will this company just be allowed to sink? So the answer was no. So a lot of investors entered, and the price went up to 11, 12 rupees, maybe 12 and a half rupees. Now this is the time, should you buy or should you sell? Now this is very difficult to decide, because the company as of now doesn't have much money to run the business. This is the time when a Vodafone or Idea has to step in and say, okay, we will be pumping in money at 10 rupees, or we will be pumping money at 20 rupees, at 10 plus 10 premium, or we are going to come out with a rights issue. Now look at the situation of Vodafone Idea to be exactly in the same position as Yes Bank. In Yes Bank, the old promoter was removed, and the new promoter, which was very strong set of, the strongest, State Bank of India stepped in, said here is the check, and HDFC Bank, led by Mr. Deepak Parekh, rather HDFC Limited and HDFC Life Insurance, HDFC AMC, all stepped in, took some equity, and they lent stability. Now with this combination, you realize that things can't go too wrong. So at 12 and 14 rupees, people said it can't go too wrong. If there was an IPO at 15 rupees, would I not have bought it? So people bought it. Now it is priced in such a way that the past has to be deleted and the future looks good, bright, therefore you buy. Exactly same for Vodafone. Now the question is always, it is easy to sell. You bought it at 6 rupees, you watched it go up to 12 rupees, then it came down to 8 rupees, you were afraid and you sold. You still made 2 rupees, not too bad. But look at the emotions that you went through. Yes, you went from optimism to excitement to euphoria to anxiety to fear to panic to despondency, and that is the point at which you sold. You were now worried that from 8, if it goes to 6, you will lose everything, and from 8 it went to 12.5. Look at the percentage of loss that you made. Now Control Alt Delete, remove all the Vodafone Idea and the Yes Bank that I spoke about. Look at what happened to you in the month of March. If you sold, the question to ask yourself is, will you buy it back? Do you have the ability to buy it back? The problem is, if you do not have a process for selling, if you do not have a process for investing, which means you do not have a investment philosophy statement, you do not have an investment diary, then these things happen. Now treat yourself as a professional and treat your portfolio as a client's portfolio. How would you deal with it? If you were your own client, wouldn't you sit with your client and say, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, write down. So treat your wife as your custodian of your money. You manage it for her and see how you're reporting to her, and report to her on a quarterly basis, maybe to your family on a quarterly basis, saying this is what I did, this is what I did. The advantage of doing this is you set in a process and you teach the process. Tomorrow if you are not around, yes, you have term insurance, they will get enough money, but they need to know how to manage the money. The question is, you ask yourself all these things. Why did I sell? Why did I panic? I know in the last 20, 30, 40 years of investing, I know every 10 years there will be one such bad situation, whether it's an Harshad Mehta scam or whether it's the 2008 world crisis or the 9/11 bombing, something like this, which will crash the market 20-30%. The question to ask is this the end of the world? Is the world coming to an end? Am I coming to an end? Is my cash flow intact? Can I invest continuously? Are the companies in which I have invested, are they safe? Are they good? Are they still worth investing? Has anything changed in my life? Has anything changed in the company's life? Right? You ask these questions, you put in a process for selling. If you put in a process for selling, you will put in a process for buying. Then you know why you bought, why you sold. When you have a logic for it, you may go wrong, but at least you know what went wrong, so that next time you can set it right. However, if you continue to react in panic, that is like wasting a good learning opportunity. From my previous learning opportunity, I used this opportunity to buy. All the shares which were in my portfolio plus a lot of PSUs were just hit beyond belief. Imagine a Sun Pharma coming down to 313 and a EID Parry coming to 110, Vedanta coming down to 67, right? Motherson Sumi coming down to 47. To me, these were God-sent opportunities. I bought it and I sold because I did not want to add it on to my portfolio. What my portfolio has all these shares. These were bought earlier, maybe at a higher price, and they are still lying there. So this was a trading opportunity. Similarly, if you put through a process, write it down. Because when you're not around, your daughter, son, wife have to do the same thing. If you think they should not be handling direct equity, say they should not be handling direct equity. Let it not become that they think, oh, this Colgate share is my father's and I should hold on to it. Let them not be emotional to it, right? Let them create their own portfolios and their own emotions. I can't be emotional about my father's holdings, right? I should not be. But since I am handling my money, and since I was anyway handling my father's portfolio, it's different. But if my daughter is not interested in handling this, or then the best thing would be to go and move money into an index fund. The question is, what all did you do when the market crashed? I mean, market falling 20% is not something where people can sit unemotionally and do nothing. So chances are you find out what you did and then steel yourself into saying, okay, maybe now it's a good time to be buying. Build up your ability, stamina to be able to buy. Thank you.